Hello and welcome back to another episode of NPC. I'm John Voorhees, and I've got two friends with me. I've got Brendon Bigley in New York.
Hello.
And I've got Federico, who's a little rough around the edges because he's out been, he's an older guy and he's out there partying, going to concerts.
Well, okay. Hi. Hey, John. Hey, Brendon. Tell you what, John. So I turned 38 in less than a month. All right.
Yeah.
And so I've been to two concerts back to back this week.
Back to back.
Sylvia and I saw Bruno Mars in Milan on Tuesday.
Nice.
And then we took the train. Sylvia obviously went back to Rome because she was busy, and I stopped in Florence. And in Florence, I went to see with Sylvia's sister, My Chemical Romance.
New Jersey natives, My Chemical Romance.
Yeah. And
That explains it. I was wondering where Sylvia was in those pictures.
I swapped the sisters essentially, and obviously it was a beautiful experience. We'd never seen them live before.
Yeah, amazing live show.
Incredible live show, especially the first part where they have like almost this musical theater thing going on with the Black Parade, and there's a whole story and like crew on stage with actors and an opera singer. It's truly incredible, and fireworks and flames, like a truly incredible show. But as I was standing there, and then we caught up with another friend of mine from high school. He's a year older than me. So he's 39, I'm almost 38. And we were standing in the pit, right? Almost in front of the stage. And the heat wave in Florence was awful. Truly awful. And progressively we started seeing these kids much younger than us just give up on the whole thing and be like, no, I cannot take this anymore. I'm gonna walk farther back. And at some point I look at my friend and I was like, you know what? For being 38, we still got it.
You're doing all right.
We can still do this.
Nice.
And we've been to a lot of concerts together, and we have our techniques. And so I'm a little bit exhausted now since I got home and I started relaxing. And so I'm kind of crashing out right now.
Sure.
But it was good. It was really good.
Nice.
Anyway, video games.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
What are we talking about, guys?
Yeah,
Did you play any games on the train, Federico?
I watched a movie instead of playing games. We're talking about on Unconnected. We're talking about the BlackBerry movie.
Oh, that's Did you like it?
I loved it.
It's really good. I liked it too.
Really good. It's really good.
That makes me so happy. I'm such a big fan. Matt Johnson, the director. I love Matt Johnson.
I got another Matt Johnson movie for you, Tichi.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
Nirvana,
the band, the show, the movie.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay.
That's the one I talked about.
My favorite
on the
movie
line.
of the year, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really love this movie. So we're gonna talk about that on the other show. But that's what I did on the train, and on the way to Milan, I finished watching with Sylvia season 5 of The Bear.
I also watched season 5 of The Bear the other day,
and we
in
also
one
loved
sitting.
We liked it so much better than season 3 and 4. So really happy about that. Anyway, those are not video games.
Those are not video games.
That's TV. Another thing that you do on the TV.
On a screen.
On a
What's
screen.
going on with video games, John?
We got lots of stuff going on.
Are video games over? Are they still doing the video games?
The video games are still happening, especially with our friends at AYANEO. And before we get into
Jesus,
Federico missed a really good AYANEO crash out last week. He's got to listen to Brendon and I just wonder what's going on with that company.
Yeah.
But
come on, guys.
Last week we talked about their big tweet that had just words in it, but was stylized with the Game Boy font, teasing that there's some sort of Game Boy style handheld coming. And today as I woke up, I saw another teaser, which this time shows a very blurry photo of some hardware.
Read this? Can I please read this?
Yes, you can.
There's a very blurry photo of a GBA, essentially. And these are all new
so
lines.
Blurry you can barely make out the buttons.
Because it's going fast, John.
It's moving
this GBA is going fast. And these are all new lines in this tweet. Okay, so every sentence is on a separate line. Those iconic handheld legends defined a generation of gamers. Is this like a haiku thing?
Kind of.
Bringing timeless classics back with new experience. Always been our unwavering pursuit. KONKR Pocket Advance, a reborn handheld icon created for retro gamers. First reveal tomorrow. Stay tuned.
Okay, so you'll know, dear listener,
Yes.
what this is by the time it comes out. But it sure does just look like a Game Boy Advance
Right.
My prediction:
with four face buttons.
this is a Game Boy Advance made of metal. Cost you $4.99. That's my
Probably.
prediction. I mean, it's AYANEO. What would you expect? Like it's a GBA with Strix Halo inside. I mean, I could also see that for some
With
reason.
a Strix Halo inside?
Strix Halo GBA. And it,
GBA with Strix Halo and a detachable battery.
yeah.
Why not?
I
No, but
wonder how big
seriously,
the screen, though. I wonder what the screen's going to be like. They'll probably do
Yeah.
an OLED. I wonder how big they'll go, though.
I think the screen is going to be bigger than the GBA. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a square screen, actually. Like OLED, 1:1 aspect ratio.
You think they won't do 3x2? You think they'll do a different aspect ratio? Make
wouldn't
it OLED?
shock me.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think it's going to be some kind of like one of those Snapdragon G2 chips, maybe.
Yeah.
It's going to be way more powerful than a GBA ought to be, for sure.
And it's going to end up looking weird because they're going to have to throw some weird sticks in weird places in order to get some use out of that.
You
I
think
will
it's
say
gonna-
this doesn't look like it has sticks.
No,
it
I don't
does
think
just
it's
based
gonna have
on
sticks.
this image.
Yeah, okay. But why would you put even that Snapdragon Gen 2 in it then?
I mean,
Necessarily.
because it's AYANEO, they want money.
okay.
That would be my prediction.
I'm
Yeah.
putting this in Photoshop, and I'm gonna bump up. I'm
'Cause
gonna see if I
that's-
can do a little bit of magic and see if I can see more of it.
Brendon is
Yeah,
a
because all
hacker.
you can really see if you're listening to this in what we're looking at now is the outline of the left edge of the handheld, basically, and you can see that it's the shape of a classic Game Boy Advance,
Yeah.
and you can see the rough outlines of the face buttons and the D-pad.
Okay, if you all right, I have this in Photoshop. I'm increasing the brightness pretty significantly. I will say
Okay.
it does look like a 3x2 screen.
It does?
Yeah, also definitely no sticks on this thing.
Okay.
I'll be curious to see if they even have L2 and R2 on here. It looks pretty accurate. Outside of the fact that there are 4 face buttons, it looks like a Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
Very interesting.
All
Okay,
right.
so maybe
Well, we'll
they're
see.
trying to be normal for once.
Trying to be restrained.
Maybe.
Which
I
would be
mean,
a
I
surprise.
still think you're probably right that it's going to cost so much money. And then, immediately the question is like, why would you buy that over the RG34XX from Ambernick that's $60?
Right.
But-
Well, in this, I can see this coming because I think it'll be more like 3 something, but it's coming right on the heels of the Pocket Micro 2, which kind of makes sense, I guess, in AYANEO's logic to follow it with the Game Boy Advance. Pocket 2 did go back up for pre-order briefly, and I checked, it is completely sold out again. So I don't know how long it took this time because it was days I looked, days after that I looked, but
Yeah.
so there's those 2 things. But we also got a review of the KONKR Pocket Fit 8 Elite, which is what was that? Let's see, what website was that on?
It's on Retro Handhelds.
Retro Handhelds, yeah, and they got an interesting model. They got the one that I love how they describe the colorway as lavender and graffiti, which is really what it is. I mean, it's the Bee Duck version of this, which is a collaboration that AYANEO has done more than once at this point. Cute little yellow duck character that you see in China.
The color looks great.
The color looks great. It's a very nice purple. It's got it's got the 8 Elite in there, and I don't know, they came away pretty impressed with it, I think, overall, which I think for the most part, you can't help but come away impressed with the hardware from AYANEO. It's just that it's not really economical.
The only downside I would say, because it does look really nice, and I mean the graffiti, that's a taste thing. The only downside for me is the lack of OLED, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's got 24 gigabytes of RAM, which is quite good for this kind of device. 8,000 milliamp hour battery, also quite good, especially since it's not a huge screen. So yeah, I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. It's 8
They
inches.
they reviewed the 24 gigs of RAM version
I don't think they did.
because I'm on their website right now. So it comes in a bunch of different specs: 8
Yeah.
gigs of RAM, 12 gigs of RAM, 16 and 24. But when you get these different configurations, it also forces you to have different storage. So 8 gigs of RAM comes with 128, 12 gigs of RAM comes with 256, 16 gigs of RAM with 512, and the 24 gigs of RAM version has a terabyte of storage in it and comes out to a whopping $870.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, well,
Wow. for people who have nothing else to spend money on.
Yeah. I think the starting price, I don't even know what the starting price is here. It's, yeah. It looks like maybe $400 for
Yeah,
the
400's the base.
the base version, which is 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage.
Yep.
That's intense.
So there you go. 1080p, 6-inch LCD, 144 hertz, and all the other specs that we mentioned.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God. All
Good
right.
luck
What
with
else we
that.
got?
Can I talk briefly about the GPD Win Max 3?
Yeah. I
Sure,
would love
yeah,
if you did that.
We'll get all the expensive things out of the way.
Yeah, so this is a whole class of devices that we have never really focused on for MPC. So the GPD, you may be familiar with some of the PS Vita looking consoles that they've made, or maybe the
Yeah.
maybe the eGPU that they did. But the Win Max series. So these are like essentially really small laptops, almost like, remember netbooks as a category, like 10 to 11 inch laptops.
Sony used to do these kind of things in the 90s too.
I think so. And
Oh,
so,
yeah.
and
the
these are
bio
like,
book. Yeah.
and these are like, what's peculiar about this is that they have this keyboard, right? And above the keyboard, so in between the keyboard and the screen, you usually have a small trackpad in the middle and 2 thumbsticks and face buttons on the sides. So the idea here is that you're holding effectively a chunky mini laptop and using it as a controller, right? When you're holding it like this, and then you have the display. But when you're not playing video games, you set it down and
You have
it's
a
a
keyboard.
chunky small laptop because you got a keyboard and a trackpad in a really weird position, because instead of being at the bottom of the keyboard, it's above the keyboard.
And they put the battery as a thing that shoves into the base of
Yes,
the keyboard.
hold
like
on, hold on.
Okay.
So these devices, they have a loyal following from people who want to have a really small laptop that also doubles as a, let's call it, game controller of sorts, right? And runs Windows by default, but you can obviously install, I think at this point, probably not on this one that we're talking about today, but on previous versions, you can probably now install native SteamOS on these things. And it's a really niche device with a loyal following from users. The new one, the Win Max 3. So this one has Strixhalo inside. All right.
Yeah.
And they have multiple versions of Strixhalo. They have the 388 and the 395, the really fancy and expensive one. It comes with a 97 watt-hour battery that is detachable.
Watt hours, not milliamp hours. This is
Watt hours.
which
So
are
this is a
much
big boys.
bigger.
You cannot fly it on a plane.
No. Oh, yeah. Good point.
You either put it in at the bottom of the laptop like a VCR, almost.
Yes,
right?
that's a good
If you're not
description.
familiar with a VCR is, I don't know how to
Look it
describe
up on Wikipedia.
Look it up on Wikipedia. It used to be a thing in the 90s. Or you can run an extension cord and just have as we've seen with other Strixhalo handhelds, and run it separately from the laptop. This thing is a monster. It's a beast. I mean, you can spec it up. It's got a 9-inch, so it's even smaller than I said. It's sub 10 inches. And it's a 2400 per 1500 display, AMOLED, 165 hertz refresh rate. You can spec it up to have 128 gigs of RAM.
It's 405 grams, which is roughly 1.8 pounds, I think. It's more, it's heavier than like a MacBook Air, for instance.
No, I think when you run it with a battery, it's like 1.2 kilograms actually.
Oh, boy.
So yeah, it's
That's what I was looking at, yeah.
pretty intense. I am not sure. So this has not been officially launched. I don't think we have official pricing details yet. This thing is gonna cost you a fortune. So expect
Absolutely, yeah.
I would expect it to start at 2,000. This is the kind of device that you buy and you keep for a few years. That argument could be made at this point for any Strixhaler device, given where the market is going or not going. So think about this carefully. If you are really into this idea, realistically, this thing will let you play PS5 level games for the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we'll see about the price, but this is not really for me. I used to have one of these a few years ago.
I remember.
And I sold it. Not really for me. I don't like the feeling of wrapping my hands around the small keyboard and having the recessed thumbsticks above the keyboard.
What's the balance? What's the balance like with something
Very
like
strange, very strange, because you have a lightweight display, right?
Right.
Because it's the bottom part that is chunky and heavy, and
Yeah.
so it's not terrible. It can be comfortable, but it's just very weird to hold a laptop like that.
I feel like this
Just-
configuration in particular would make it even worse, right? Like if you have the battery plugged in, then you just have
Yep.
this brick weighing you down from the bottom, and then even if you have it detached, like then you're holding it, but then you have this brick sitting on a table hypothetically or in your lap, like
Yeah,
Yeah, the battery is on
weird.
the front edge, so that makes it even.
right, it's just tipping downwards.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and also realistically, with this kind of power consumption for Strixhaler, when you're wrapping your hands
It's gonna be
around,
hot.
that's exactly where it's gonna be hot, right? Because you got the battery
Right.
in there and Strixhaler inside, and so it's like you're gonna wrap your hands around like a really warm piece of aluminum, and I'm not sure exactly how pleasant that can be.
Yeah.
Maybe they have really nice heat insulation. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Not for me, but scientifically speaking, an interesting project.
Scientifically speaking,
Yeah.
it's a great
Yes.
way of putting it.
Yeah. John, what's going on at Mangmi?
They're doing some vertical
I feel
handhelds.
like you've been on the Mangmi beat for a while at this
A
point.
little bit. I mean, I did buy the one.
You did?
Horizontal handheld, and it was the thing about Magmi is they tend to be a good value for what you're getting compared to a lot of these other companies. So you're not getting like cutting edge technology, but you're usually getting a pretty good price. And the Air Y is a vertical handheld with one analog stick, and the Air Y Pro gives you a second stick. There's not a lot here that's different from other vertical handhelds that we've seen. I mean, it looks an awful lot like some of the other ones, but it looks to be like a pretty decent. It's got an 865 Snapdragon in it, and yeah, I mean, I think it looks competitive with something like the Trim UI Brick Pro or the Pro U. It's the similar type of look and form factor.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what pricing looks like compared to the Brick Pro, because
Yeah,
it seems like they're really just going shot for shot on that.
Right, because they really haven't talked about that. It's a 4.2-inch IPS display, but yeah, it's very similar to what you get from that Trim UI is working on.
That's interesting. Can I ask you guys about this 8BitDo thing? There's this 8BitDo controller, the FlipPad.
Yes, I want to talk about this.
Okay, so they have been talking about this for a little bit. It's not the first time we've seen this solution from 8BitDo, but
Right.
it's finally available for pre-order. It's called the FlipPad. If you remember the Pocket Taco,
Yes.
Pocket Taco is a device that we talked about on the show, where you just slide it over the bottom of your screen. It has face buttons and a D-pad on the front with start and select, and then on the back it has shoulder buttons, and it connects via Bluetooth. Interesting device. John didn't like it very much. He sent his to me. I also didn't like it very much.
Now you're stuck with it.
Now I'm stuck with it. Yeah, I feel like the main takeaway I had from it is like I don't think anyone has figured out the mobile controller still. I don't think anyone has figured out like the right way of doing it. There are a lot of different ways of doing it that will appeal to different people, but nobody's figured out the right way. And 8BitDo is here thinking that they have the right way again. And it looks very similar to the Pocket Taco. It just doesn't have the back part. So it's not like you're sliding your phone into the Taco, but instead it's just the D-pad and the 4 face buttons with start and select, and then the bottom part connects via your phone's Bluetooth or USB-C port on the bottom, and then flips up, which does solve one of the major problems of the Pocket Taco, which is anytime you need to use the screen, you need to take the entire thing off to be able to use the bottom part of the screen that's being covered. So in this case, the FlipPad allows you to just go, just open it up, mess with the bottom of the screen, flip it back up, you're good to go. The downside, of course, is that what's up with the shoulder buttons? Well, the shoulder buttons are not on the back anymore, so where do they go? They now are in a straight line on the top of the controller. L1, L2, R1, and R2 are just 4 buttons that they put above the D-pad and the face buttons on the FlipPad. And
how's that going to work?
I don't know. Look, I think if you're buying something like this, you know, it's it's not that expensive. I don't think it's going to be that expensive. You're buying something like this, and you're buying it for your phone. You're probably somebody who just plays like Pokemon on your phone. You know, you're probably not playing the most intense stuff in the world.
Sure.
Also, because of the orientation of it, you need to be playing stuff vertically. So I feel like the odds that you will really, really need the shoulder buttons are slim, but you know, even on like the Game Boy Advance, you say you want to play something like Metroid Zero Mission, you know, like that's going to be unplayable. That's going to be completely unplayable. The idea of pressing the shoulder buttons to be able to aim and activate your rockets and so you just can't do it. It's just not going to work.
You only have 2 thumbs. I mean,
you only got 2 thumbs. You only got 2 thumbs, unless you want to do like an Armored Core claw grip kind of thing like with your phone, which I'll try it for science. But I think. I feel like this is an interesting device for a very, very specific niche of people who I think will probably like it a lot and is completely useless for basically everybody else. And at the end of the day, we still have not solved mobile controllers. We're still not there.
The article says that it's $30.
Oh yeah, $30 is like a no-brainer if you play a lot of Pokemon on your phone.
Yeah, so there's that. I'm starting to think that the solution I tried a couple of years ago, maybe my favorite, is I used one of those triangular Joy-Con, holders that you can slide them into, put a magnet on it, and used my phone like MagSafe with Joy-Con on the sides instead of something underneath the phone.
Yeah, that's like an interesting idea if you are comfortable bringing that with you all the time.
Well,
like
what
I'm looking for is something that's as portable as my phone that can travel along with my phone.
Yeah.
That I could also use as a mobile controller. And I do think the M-Con is the closest we've gotten. And if they release the slim and light versions, I actually think that is maybe going to be it for me. Because as soon as I can get a thing that goes on the back of this and just like travels along with my phone, I never have to take it off.
Right.
That's interesting to me.
Yeah, the only thing about the M-Con is its chunkiness. So if they do a thin one, that would go a long way. Exactly. I think GameSir's done some interesting fold-up kind of phone controllers. Yeah. I don't know if any of you guys use the ones that kind of fold in half and get smaller so you can take them with you. I have not used those before.
No, I don't think I have.
I think it's not a recent product at all, but I think a few years ago they did one that was a lot like their X5, but it folded up into a little package.
That's interesting. That's an interesting idea. Oh, I do remember this now. You're right.
Yeah, it had like a hinge in the middle, I think.
Yeah. Also, just on the GameStar website, the Pocket Taco now comes in atomic purple.
Oh.
If you want a see-through purple one. So that's pretty cool. Speaking of see-through purple, because my first thought was, I wonder if that's going to break faster. The other thing I'm worried about with this 8BitDo FlipPad is just like destroying my USB-C port on my phone.
Yeah,
hypothetically, by having this
'cause
thing
it's-
that's like reliant on it and like constantly
Yeah.
swiveling
it's
in there.
bending right there.
Doesn't make me feel comfortable at all just thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that idea.
I don't know.
Anyway, that's the 8-bit FlipPad. I'm in the market for the perfect mobile controller. So if you have it, please send it to me.
John, what are we talking about in NPC XL?
NPC XL, we're going to talk about Armada, which is something that Brendon and I talked about a little bit last week on the main show. And since then, he and I have both installed it and tried it on 2 different devices. So we'll be talking
I've been
about
testing
that.
it so much.
Yeah.
Lots to say about it.
It's pretty neat, pretty neat. But before we go, Federico, I do think that we need to talk about your last link, the Mechanism device that's coming out. I'm still waiting for Mechanism's Mythic Switch 2 grips, which still have not surfaced publicly anywhere. But nor have the Genki grips, although those actually, I got my little backer email about that a few weeks ago. So those are supposedly coming. But Mechanism has yet another strange device for using with your handheld gaming devices.
They have released what is essentially a stand so that you can work with your Steam Deck or other handheld on a desk. Imagine like those foldable stands that you've seen for iPad that like prop up your iPad and you adjust the height and the angle, and they got like like a clamp at the where you can sort of put your handheld. That's the idea, and they show a photo of somebody using a Steam Deck with a mouse and keyboard at a desk, and I mean, more power to you if you do
Get
this.
yourself into Linux desktop mode and do a little
Why
email.
Not? Why not? They have this beautiful photo showing a Legion Go, which obviously, sign me up. Legion Go on the stand with a 65 watt battery underneath, and one of the controllers detached. I'm assuming using
For the
it
mouse.
for the mouse and the
I would think.
keyboard. I mean, yes, that's the kind of insanity that I will approve of. Yeah, you have a Legion Go 2 after all, and it can do all of that. So why not?
Why not use it?
Why not
I
use
don't
it?
know, Federico. I think you should do it for science.
I think,
I'm more
yes.
into this than I am into the gaming pillow. I'll say that much.
Wow. Brendon is all about business.
He's a quiet gaming pillow hater, is what.
Yeah,
Brendon is.
it's all about business. No pillow. Just Brendon
Dude,
wants
I got
me
work to do, man.
At a
Have you
desk.
seen my Google Calendar?
at a desk with a keyboard and a mouse. This is the stand for Mr. Brendon Bigley. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna get it. I have to buy the adapter first, the mechanism adapter, and then I'll do it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah,
Yes.
we should wrap it up there. We'll be back in another week. And in the meantime, you can find Brendon over at wavelengths.online and, of course, overworld.vg. And Federico and I are at macstories.net. And you can find all three of us on social media. Just search for our names there. Talk to you later, guys.
Ciao, John.
Bye.
Ciao, Brendon.